Tennessee?
Oh, no, I'm not going to Tennessee.
Oh, that's just.
No, I'm saying in general, because tonight's Thursday,
Ah.
our city council meetings in Tennessee were on Thursday.
Thursdays.
He's been waiting 10 years to get out of Tennessee. Why would he?
That's right. I'm good. I'm glad that you said
Yeah, Thursdays.
No.
Never been.
We could do-
No.
We could do Friday or Saturday morning.
No, thank you. We're live and ready.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we're live.
Cock and load, here we go. We're ready, big four?
Ready.
Closed session minutes.
Oh, no, you have to go to, yeah.
For the city of Petoskey, I called a meeting of the city council for May 7th, 2026. And I ask that you rise with me for the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't wear a tie because you didn't have a tie on this afternoon. So I went home and. Let's wait for these gentlemen and ladies, or gentlemen and man, to come in. No drum rolls, but hello. Next, I will go to roll with City Clerk Beck.
Demore,
Present.
Wilmot,
Present.
Naktrab,
Present.
Walker is absent, and Murphy.
Present. Next to this, two proclamations. Is this going to be presented?
Jane,
Thank you.
out here in the county.
You want me to read one of them
You
or
want to read it?
which one?
Yes.
Both of them?
You want to read the first one?
I can read it and you can present it if you want.
Okay.
That work?
And then, if you read it, got the second one I'm all set on. I memorized that. It's been so many years.
Okay,
Come on down.
let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
There you go.
Whereas the Compost Research and Education Foundation has declared the first full week of May to be the annual Compost Awareness Week, and whereas composting is a way of returning organic resources to the soil to restore the health of the soil and enable its essential function in the carbon cycle, and whereas applying finished compost is a proven method of growing healthy food, conserving water, providing resiliency during flooding conditions, reducing water consumption and non-point pollution, decreasing the dependence on chemical fertilizers, and decreasing erosion. And whereas the state of Michigan has established ambitious goals for organics, diversion, and compost utilization through updates to Part 115 Materials Management Planning requirements applicable to all 83 counties, recognizing composting as an effective strategy for resource recovery, waste reduction, reuse, recycling, and pollution prevention. And whereas materials such as yard trimmings, biosolids, food scraps, manures, and animal bedding have all been composted and converted into a beneficial product known as compost. And whereas communities through their local governments, highway departments, soil conservation service, and extension offices, and public works professionals can have significant impact on clean water, soil, climate change, and landfill diversion by using compost for public works projects. And whereas this year's theme is compost, feed the soil that feeds us. The 2026 theme was chosen with the goal of highlighting the benefits of composting in agriculture and food production, and its role in supporting healthy, nutritious food, and by extension, healthy people and communities. Beyond responsible waste management, composting recognizes the interconnectedness between every person who eats, the earth that provides all of our food, as well as our agency in feeding the earth, our scraps, so that the soil may continue to provide for us abundantly. Compost grows healthy soil, healthy food, and a healthy Michigan. Now, therefore, be it resolved Mayor John Murphy, on behalf of the City of Petoskey of the State of Michigan, hereby proclaims the week of May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as International Compost Awareness Week.
We expect to see this song as you drive it.
Yeah.
I'll look for it at the gate.
Thank you.
I could do without messing up.
We're we have a great opportunity and we have a great relationship with all that you guys do over there and we appreciate, I don't think we get a lot of calls that stuff isn't happening when you pick stuff up, you don't miss stuff. Thank you. And make sure and share that with the staff.
Thank you. We look forward to continuing and expanding for the city of Petoskey. Do you want to do a follow-up with a poster real quick? Can we do that?
Yes, sure.
What?
Yeah, photo. op.
Photo.
Oh, sure.
You want me to?
I don't charge a lot.
We
Okay.
have to keep those at that.
I don't charge a lot. She wants that.
Oh, Ms. Floyd?
Did you want to leave that also at City Hall? Okay, perfect. You can just leave it on the table and we'll get it.
You want it right in front of the,
Let's move. I don't want to do this.
I'm Heidi.
Thank you. You guys want me to leave this?
Yes.
Thank
We can
you.
post it down.
Oh,
thank you.
And you're gonna do the holiday?
What's Wednesday tonight, a conference?
Next proclamation is the Arbor Day proclamation. I'll be reading this Saturday morning at the Arbor Day celebration. It's at the Arlington Park on 11 o'clock Saturday.
Arlington Park or Pennsylvania Park?
Is it what?
I think it's Pennsylvania Park, isn't it?
Oh, they moved it to Pence. It was Arlington in the past. We're checking the place location.
Be Pennsylvania Park near the gazebo.
Oh,
Is where they're gonna be set up at.
we moved it. It's always been Arlington. Okay, proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, as well as lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate our temperature, clean our air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increases property values, increase the economic vitality of businesses in the areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they're planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Therefore, I, John Murphy, Mayor of the City of Petoskey, do proclaim May 9th as Arbor Day in the City of Petoskey. I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support the efforts to protect trees and woodlands. I further urge our citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the hearts and to promote well-being of this and future generations. I will say, I looked up Nebraska and why they did this. At that time, they had the fewest trees of any state in the country. To this day, they still have the fewest trees of any state in the country as well. So kind of interesting for Nebraska. But
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
I understand they're giving out some flowering dogwoods on Saturday as well.
yes, they are.
So the first come, first serve.
Come get a flowering dogwood to plant in your yard. It'll be a very short presentation there. I don't think it'll be real long, but you have an opportunity to come in. Next is the consent agenda. I ask council to approve the following draft April. Draft April 20th, 2026 regular session city council meeting and a closed session meeting, city council meeting for that day as well. Also acknowledge the receipt of report from the city manager concerning all checks that have been issued since April 20th, 2026 for contracts and vendings claiming $780,179.12, as well as intergovernmental claims of $24,262.39, and the April 2023 payroll of $250,533.15 for a total of $1,054,974.70, as well as the design designate the locations for the 2026 ward and city conventions. Take this to council for questions, concerns, or possible adoption. Mr. Wilmot.
One quick question for the city manager. On page 20, under Dunkel Excavating, and I know they do a lot of work for the city, instead of, there's a $26,000, 287 item, but it's under capital outlay as opposed to contracted services. And I was just wondering, did we buy a piece of equipment from them or?
That should be for the parking lot, Park Garden parking lot project.
So it comes out of capital outlay?
The capital outlay is $630.
No, this is
Uncle?
under Dunkel Excavating capital outlay, $26,287 on
Must
page.
be another entry. Oh, I see it. Okay, got it. Thank you.
I was just curious why it fell under that category, that's all.
Yeah, that would be for that project.
Okay, thank you. Then in,
Possible capital outlay is replacing not meters, but boxes and things like that that wear out and we have to replace them. Does that fall under capital outlay? Or why is it capital out? Yeah.
It's a capital project.
just mildly curious.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Because
right.
it's a capital project,
All
so.
capital.
Okay.
So with that,
All good.
I offer a motion to accept the, or do we need a motion for the?
We do.
Yes, I offer a motion then to accept the consent agenda.
agenda.
Support?
I have a motion from. You have a motion? Nope. I have a motion from Mr. Wilmot, a second from Mr. Knobtrop. I go to City Clerk Beck for roll.
Wilmot,
Aye.
Backtrop,
Aye.
Demore,
Aye.
Murphy.
Motion passes 4-0. Please pass in your closed session copy. Thank you. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comments. This is your opportunity. If there's something that isn't on the agenda, I'd ask you to wait until it is discussed. But if it's something you need to leave for, you have an opportunity to come forward, hit the green button on the speaker podium, lectern. You'll have time to talk to council. You need to give us your first name, last name, as well as address council and not the public. Does anybody wish to speak at this point? Okay, there being none. Next, I go to City Manager Shane Horn's manager's report for this month.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Celebrating staff this month, as this is our first meeting of the month. May birthdays for staff. April Sanders in the parking office celebrated her birthday this week on May 4th. Ed Smith, Parks and Rec Department, May 8th. Mary Beauchamp at the library, May 17. Michael Dolan, Public Safety Officer, May 18. Christine Hoff, Parks and Rec Planning and Public Works, May 23rd. And Adam Klimza, Public Safety Officer, May 23rd as well. May work anniversaries for staff this month. Missy Acevedo, downtown celebrates her first year with the city. Adam Klimza, Public Safety, 2 years. Tony Belmonte, Code Enforcement, 3 years. Audrey Plath, Finance, 11 years. Gordon Standish, Water Wastewater, 20 years. And Scott Goziak, Public Safety, 28 years with the city this month.
Is it correct that Missy is put in a resignation for the DMV?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Is that right? Yeah, okay. Just to let you know, there's a change there.
Mhm.
Upcoming meetings this month or in the next couple of weeks, Monday night, Youth Advisory Council meets for their regular meeting. That'd be Monday, May 11th in this room at 6 o'clock. Parks and Rec Commission also meets Monday evening, May 11th at 6 in the community room. And then the Art Commission meets for their monthly meeting on Thursday, May 14th at 12 o'clock in the community room this next week. A few updates, general updates, Chill Grant, we did get some good news, finally on this grant. We were kind of going up against we had a May 31st deadline and we, as well as many other grantees were struggling to get funds out the door very early on because this is a very bureaucratic, process when you deal with these type of federal funds. So all of us were kind of pushing for additional time and fortunately we were all granted an extension to September 30th of 2026. So this will allow us to get projects completed, which we're thankful for. We do have 2 completed projects that you can see there. We have a number that are in progress and then a few applications that are pending. Because of the reduced timeline, we will still accept applications, but really we're focusing on, I'll say more simple projects like roof replacements, HVAC upgrades, plumbing upgrades. If it requires any sort of abatement work, we will not have time to do that. So we will still accept applications for what I just mentioned, roofs, HVAC improvements, plumbing, anything really that doesn't require us to do environmental abatement work. We will still accept applications. If you total up this total with the pending, we'll be right around 300,000 out of our 500. So we still have some room to get funds out the door. So we would encourage folks to, if you need those type of improvements and you qualify from an income standpoint, we would love to work with you.
Is this a grant that you're intending to renew? Is it possible to renew it?
Well, not at this point. Now, if there's additional funds that are available, certainly we'll look into that, but there is an exploration needs at this point, and I haven't heard of any sort of additional funds.
Okay, thank you.
At this point.
I think that's fantastic that you guys have done that, Shane. I appreciate it. I know it was a big undertaking to take it on as you did.
And again, I'll give some great kudos to Northwest Michigan Habitat for Humanity. They've been a great partner helping me administer this opportunity. So certainly appreciate that partnership. Some updates on our spring construction projects. Howard Street, this is Mitchell to Michigan. Sanitary sewer main work complete. Water main work will be complete early next week. Storm sewer replacement will be complete early next week as well. The intersection planter in front of the Pennies has been removed and replaced. Sidewalks are going in, concrete sidewalks, curb work started this week. We are still on our task to complete this project by mid-June is our expected completion. Park Garden lot reconstruction, concrete work is in progress. Storm sewer infrastructure is complete. Irrigation and landscape work has begun. Grading and aggregate base started this week as well. And we are on schedule to pave early or mid-May. So in the next couple of weeks, we will be paving that lot. Some additional project updates overall of interest, I guess. 441, 445 East Mitchell. Not much going on there. I did reach out to the county building official for any updates. He submitted a letter to the building owner back in February asking for additional detail, and I confirmed with him that he's not heard anything back from the building owner. So I have passed that information on to our city attorney, and she will be responding accordingly to try to spur some action, additional action on that site. Delray Apartments, they are accepting applications currently. That project is wrapping up. That's 9 units there on the corner of Emmett and Michigan, thank you. J.C. Penney, I did reach out to the owners there, got a quick response back that progress continues on that site. You can all see kind of what they've been doing. There's still a significant amount of work remaining. I asked for an expected completion date. I did not get a response back, but from what I've been told, it will likely be another year before that project wraps up completely. So there's still a significant amount of work to do in the interior. Leo's project, I touched base with the building owner today. All his financing has been completed. Historical tax credits have been granted. They are in a very good position financially for the project to move forward. They've done, all their demo is complete. They've started some interior walls going up for that project. So he had mentioned briefly, because he was out of town, that we should see significant progress from here on forth now that things are lined up. The financing is in order. Dog park discussion, we did meet with the fence contractor yesterday. Kendall and I walked the site with the contractor. You may recall in the bid, we had put in the specifications a total of 1,200 linear feet of fencing for that project. When we walked the site, and he obviously had his measuring wheel with him, and we walked the perimeter of the site, and it ended up being just over 900 linear feet. So we will be able to save some cost just by the sheer volume, linear feet reduction. We did get feedback from folks that a 4-foot fence was not going to be sufficient for dogs. They were concerned about dogs jumping over the fencing. In talking with the mayor, we went back to the 5-foot fence height. I still believe we're going to be able to get in under that bid amount that you all approved. If I need to come back to city council, I will certainly do that. But that project they'll be shipping materials up for this project. Fencing should be done in the early part of June. Looks like we need some reseeding of that property. If you may recall, reseeded that fairly late in last year, and irrigation is in, so that will certainly help growth as we move forward. But there is a lot of patchiness in that project, so we'll likely have to do some overseeding here shortly. Emergency shelter, the mayor and I had a meeting today with Petoskey School Superintendent, Dr. Leslie, and Petoskey School Board Member, Mark Ashley, on using the middle school as a potential emergency shelter site. As you all recall, we very quickly transitioned this building to a shelter during the ice storm. While it worked, it wasn't ideal, and it had a number of deficiencies that we believe the middle school will help us solve, concerning a cafeteria, a gymnasium where we'll be able to put cots, shower facilities. So we had a walkthrough today with school leadership. They're very excited about this partnership. We're excited about a partnership. The goal that we have to work on is finding funding for a generator that will run the facility during a power outage or an emergency event. So we'll both be working on trying to secure funds for an emergency generator for the middle school, which again, once we receive that and get it installed, that will become our emergency shelter in the event that we need something like that going forward. So I think that kind of checks a lot of boxes for us. And the school was very gracious with their facility, so we appreciate that partnership. The Little Traverse Wheelway bypass, We are still working with our vendor OHM on a layout and design. We had a meeting today, and those meetings will continue with kind of every 2-week updates. We'll have updates. We have had surveying delays due to the flooding conditions that we've experienced in our area. Their surveyors had to pull away and address more pressing issues as a result of the flooding conditions. So they'll be back on this site later this month. They're still planning on having us a concept by the end of July that we will be able to talk through and provide guidance on. So that progress will be continuing.
A question?
I will.
A quick question about about that. I see that they're doing some culvert work on the underneath the Epler curve there. Is that the Department of Transportation that's doing that? And can that be what they're doing down there will be of assistance to the plans that we may have for?
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with the wheelway. That was work that has been scheduled for a couple of years. They're lining the storm line that comes off of Epler. So that work will be ongoing, I believe, until the end of June. So, yes.
Thank you.
Yep. I apologize. I left a slide in from previously, so you can ignore that one. Sorry about that. Just a reminder, our rubbish collection program, curbside, kicks off next week. West side of Howard on Tuesday, May 12th, and the following Tuesday, May 19th. And then east of Howard residents, Wednesday, May 13th, followed by the following Wednesday, May 20th. So certainly we encourage folks to clean up their properties and take advantage of that opportunity to have curbside collection. Again, small yard waste continues on Thursdays, curbside through the end of the month, end of May, and then brush chipping every Monday, first and third Mondays through November. So we encourage folks to take advantage of those opportunities. Just an overall update on the election on Tuesday. I'll turn it over to our city clerk for an update on that.
So just a chart showing percentages of voters. Overall turnout was 1,027 registered voters in the city, so that's 20.71%. And out of that, 200 were walk-ins on election day in person, all day for all 4 wards. And then absentee voters, 827 ballots were processed in our AV counting board. So registered voters, we have 4,959 as of Tuesday. And then also, thank you to our election inspectors. I am going to read them off because I think they should have recognition. It's a lot of work. It's a long day. They do a great job, and I am super appreciative of them. So the receiving board is a team of 2, an R and a D, and they check out all the wards at the end of the night to make sure everything balances. All the paperwork is done to make sure that precincts can be recountable. So our receiving board, one team was Jill Thompson and Christine Gebhard. The other was Rick Lloyd and Emily Meyerson. Emily's in the audience. Thank you. Our AV counting board that processed all absentee ballots, Jennifer Fordyce was the chair, Rick Lloyd, Grace Ketchum, Lisa Lloyd, Charlie Wilmot, thank you, Charlie, Wanda White. Ward 1, Barb Daniel was the chair, Sherry McGuffin, Anna Ballou, Cynthia McWaters, Emily Meyerson. Ward 2, Sue Moffitt chaired, Norb Daniel, Susan Finn, Linda Vanderberg, Mary O'Leary Larson. Ward 3, Nicole Keck was chair, Jill Thompson, Carol Jarvie, Kate Marshall. Thank you, Kate. Ward 4, Patty McLeese was the chair, Linda Vanderberg, so she worked the morning shift and then switched over to Ward 2 to finish out the evening. Donna Wiklansky and Christine Gebhard. And I'll only note that I will be putting information on the website. We have 2 more elections this year, and I'm always seeking election inspectors. So the application, I can get that out there in a news article that can go out in the newsletter, but always seeking that. We have started doing split shifts, so it's not a full 16, 18-hour day. So I think that's helpful too. And then if any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions, council? Yes, Demora.
I've saved up my questions, so I'll start with the beginning. First, I want to extend kudos to the city manager because I had outreach from a constituent with a chill grant snafu. And it was a situation where they were going to lose the opportunity to do some work on the house because they had bids, but just not enough time to get it accomplished. So I appreciate you doing a full court press there, and it sounds like it was to the benefit of everybody who's trying to get the grant work done. So that was number one. Number two, I had a couple questions on the project updates. One is not on the list, but I did understand that the location of the Recovery Alliance there between Bay and Lake Street was another building that Emmett County has deemed cannot be occupied. And I believe it's owned by the same individual or entity that owns 441 or 445 East Mitchell. Have we had any updates on that?
Yeah, that's an ongoing legal matter. The tenants actually reached out to us concerned about the conditions of the building. So we went through from a code enforcement standpoint, IPMC standpoint, and had a list. And then we also worked with Emmett County Building Department, and they walked through as well, which resulted in the red tag condition of the building. So it is the same owner as 441, 445. And so we've turned that over to our legal folks to seek appropriate court action as needed.
Okay, thank you for that update. And then relative to the emergency shelter, I was just curious, has there been any discussion about the use of sinking funds? I know the Petoskey schools were just successful in passing their sinking fund millage. And back in the day when I served, it seems like that might be something that's in the lane of a sinking fund. I was just curious.
Want to hit on that one?
I brought that up. They do have projects that they're aligned with right now. City as well as the school are looking for grants and opportunities to pay for this. First, they're gonna get a cost on what would it cost for what type of generator, how big, working on that. They weren't real sure that something could happen before this coming winter, but we pushed for it to have it done by winter.
Good, that's part of the discussion. Then finally, I just want to give a shout out to Sarah. I've worked election voter protection for a number of years, and I know that sometimes when people come to vote, they're confused about things. Sometimes they're upset about things. And I just want to say that I have observed and learned in real time how well she deals with those situations, and she's to be commended for that, because informing people makes all the difference in a calm way to promote confidence in the election system. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
I think we all feel the same way, don't we? We're all very appreciative of what you do. The hours, the time, the extra hours that you're there, evenings.
Well, it may sound gratuitous since she's my boss, but yeah, she does a great job.
Thank you.
You had one more slide, I think.
Then just as we've already talked, the mayor and council member Wilmot. So Saturday, May 9th is our Arbor Day celebration. This will be in Pennsylvania Park near the gazebo. So as Councilmember Wilmot mentioned, we will be giving away flowering dogwood trees as supplies last. And we certainly thank the Petoskey Area Garden Club for this event and just the wonderful work that they do in our community. It's just outstanding, the amount of effort and the beauty that we get to all enjoy because of their work. So thank you to the Petoskey Area Garden Club.
Anything else, Mr. Knobtrow.
Yeah, I also waited for the end too. I have several questions, Shane. I was at the tail end of the Shill grant process and the income base, what you say it's a challenge from the income base, is that targeted for low to moderate income,
Yes,
not middle income?
right,
Okay.
yes.
Second question on the J.C. Penney project. Do we know that they have funding to complete the project? Or is this just a construction thing? My own intuition says there's something more to this than meets the eye. And I'm just wondering, do we know that they have funding? One. And then two, did the city participate in providing any money on anything? Okay.
Yeah, because it's not a city project, I really can't comment on their funding capabilities, and we did not provide any sort of incentives for that project.
Okay. So we have no control over anything really on that. Okay. My favorite subject, the wheelway bypass. The state is doing some work, but I also understood, and I actually sat there for a while, just watching the cars again. And in the old days, last year, we had those little flimsy barriers. And I understood that the state was gonna put those back in. They're not gonna put them back in.
No, we put them in, the state
Oh, we
doesn't
did.
do that.
So we're gonna do that this year?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do you know when?
They'll
that's
be in
gonna-
before Memorial Day.
Perfect. Thank you. I think, and I'll echo the compliments on Sarah. I've been election person too, and it's so interesting. She knows how to discipline us from conversations when we need to be disciplined
Nicely, right? Right?
nicely. And I can't imagine, we had 20-some people sitting around all day for 200 voters. That had to be a very boring day. But you guys you do a good job.
Thank you.
That's it, okay? Now we'll go to old business. It's the second reading and possible adoption of a proposed ordinance amending chapter 10, which is the fire prevention and control regarding fireworks. I'll turn it over to City Manager Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had a couple looks at this. Our last meeting on April 20th. City Council suggested 2 revisions related to section 10-19, section E regarding dates, and section 10-19E to B, adding a review by the Public Safety Department. We have included those revisions in this last update of this ordinance, which again has been reviewed by our city attorney. So I'm happy to ask or answer any sort of additional questions that you may have at this time. This is on for second reading and possible adoption.
Any other questions, council? Discussion, Mr. Wilmot?
I'll get the ball rolling by proposing a motion to accept the ordinance to amend chapter 10 of the Petoskey ordinance, fire prevention and control.
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. Wilmot, second from Ms. Demore. Discussion, council, Mr. Knobtrop.
Yes, I think I know how this is going to go, but I would like to make a statement on my own thoughts on this ordinance.
Please.
And I don't do well doing it written, so I'm just going to read it. As I've reviewed this proposal and I've been talking about it for a while and I've been having a lot of consideration, I keep coming back to a simple question. Are we solving a real problem or are we creating new restrictions where none are truly needed? Michigan law already required Petoskey to allow consumer fireworks on New Year's, Memorial, Independence Day, Labor Day. Yet those are the fireworks most often used casually in neighborhoods, frequently louder, less predictable, and with greater safety concerns. By contrast, professionally operated commercial-grade fireworks displays are conducted by licensed, insured experts under controlled conditions. They are planned, supervised, and provide a shared community experience that many families enjoy. In my 30 years living in Petoskey, these professional displays have been rare and generally limited to special occasions such as July 3rd and 4th at Bay Harbor and Petoskey, and also Harbor Springs. With only, in the last 30 years, with only a handful of private events over these 30 years. I am not aware, except one last year that prompted this that was late and long. I'm not aware of these displays creating a widespread or ongoing problem for our city. It's very rare. This ordinance would impose stricter limits on the safest and most responsibly managed fireworks while allowing broader use of consumer fireworks under state law. This inconsistency for me is difficult to reconcile. I support a reasonable notice requirement so residents can prepare for noise concerns, but I do not support restricting professional displays more harshly than consumer fireworks that carry greater risk and less oversight. For those reasons, I'll be voting no, and I would encourage others to at least consider my thoughts. Thank you.
Question, does this affect, city manager, does this affect, was any actions taken last week, like 2 weeks ago regarding the accepted fireworks?
No.
This has nothing to do with that one.
No.
Correct. That's what I wanted to make sure. I want to make sure that was understood. Anyone else wish to speak?
It doesn't affect the one application, but I understood there was another one in process that it would affect. Is that correct, city manager?
Yeah, it would impact others going forward. That's correct.
Other discussion? Does the public wish to weigh in on this? Being none, I'm gonna go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Wilmot,
Yes.
Demore,
Aye.
Knoptrop,
Nay.
and Murphy.
Yes, motion passes 3-1. Next, second reading and possible adoption of proposed ordinance adding Appendix D outdoor lighting ordinance to the zoning ordinance, and I'll call on.
I'll take it.
Shane.
This is again, a second reading and possible adoption. At our first reading on April 20th, City Council suggested revising the definition of reconstruction, which is in Article 2 under definitions. We did review this with our city attorney, with our city planner, and we have included that definition under Article 2 for your consideration. There were no other additional changes to this ordinance from first reading.
Mr. Moore,
No, I was just gonna make a motion.
please.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the exterior lighting ordinance as set forth in the agenda.
Support?
A motion from Mr. Moore, second from Mr. Wilmot. Other discussion, council? Mr. Knoptrop.
I think it's great. I think you guys did a great job on it. And I'm excited for it. At the public comment last time, there was the couple that was implying that we were not doing consistent enforcement on the lights that were covered and not covered. Can you explain, was that any of that relevant, and does that any of his concerns get addressed in this ordinance? I didn't think it did, but you recall the comments?
I do.
His was more about fair
I
allocation.
think the concern was the string lights, was his concern. And
Shielded or not?
shielded or non-shielded. So I don't know, John, if you want to hit on that again, but,
Mayor and City Council. The gentleman's concern was that when he contacted the zoning administrator to discuss putting up the festoon lights, the string lights, the current ordinance says that they have to be shielded. And a good example of that are the festoon or the string lights over at Panera Bread. Their outside dining area, all the lights are shielded. He complained that, Beards, for example, and a couple of the other restaurants that had outdoor dining did not have shielded lights. As a result of him making the complaint, the zoning administrator did send letters to those property owners, telling them that they were currently in violation of the ordinance. Under the proposed ordinance, the shielding would not be required because the lights don't emanate that many lumens. Okay, so the proposed ordinance that's under consideration would correct the problem that we currently have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moore,
I just wanted to thank you, John, for the clarification on construction, reconstruction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Other questions, council? Does the public wish to speak on this? There being none, I'm going to city clerk back for a roll.
Demore,
Aye.
Wilmot,
Aye.
Knaptrap,
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Next is the first reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 21, traffic and motor vehicle regulating bicycles. I'll turn it over again to city manager Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've had a few discussions on this topic as well, going back to summer of 2025. We had another discussion on April 20th. Couple different variations of this has kind of been pushed out based on comments that I received from City Council on April 20th. I did put back in there the Park Reserve District as a section that we would not allow bikes. I did provide a couple options, recommendations for consideration that you may or may not want to entertain. You know, another compromise potentially that if you wanted to split it up a little bit, the section from Bay to Lake, we could continue the bike path there, and then that remaining one block, they would have to find either step off their bike, walk it from Lake to Mitchell, and then get back on the Greenway at that point, or get on the road and bike around. But as a reminder, the focus of this has always been folks walking bikes on the sidewalk in front of businesses. It's just has not been a safe interaction amongst bikers and pedestrians as people are coming in and out of businesses. That's really been the focus the whole time, and I certainly understand if we don't allow bikes on the sidewalk, where can they go? And so I understand that, the second part of that equation, if you will. And so I'm certainly open to City Council's direction, continued direction on this. I put this back on as first reading because I didn't feel we were quite ready to formally consider this quite yet, but we've had some feedback. I've taken some feedback over the course of the last couple of weeks, trying to find some compromise. You could entertain bringing a professional in to look at this from a holistic approach, if that's the council's direction. But we are coming up against, in the next month, we will have a number of visitors join us in our wonderful community. So the goal would be to hopefully have something in place before that influx. And maybe it's we address the sidewalks in the central business district, and we see how that goes for the summer season. And this is an ordinance that can be amended, repealed, whatever council's direction may be in the future. But maybe we see how address the core issue, and then maybe come back and refine it as needed. We will be coming to City Council in the next meeting or two with the Pennsylvania Park Master Plan. They've taken a review of bicycling through the Pennsylvania Park as well. So that would be part of that discussion and presentation, as well as the community engagement that occurred out of that process. So we can certainly have that discussion at that meeting when we present the master plan, or you could table it and wait for that as well. It's really up to you how you want to proceed. But again, we're going to be coming up against our visitors in the next month, so we're trying to get something facilitated and implemented, ahead of that time period. So certainly willing to take your feedback, your comments, make any revisions that you would like to see. But this again is first reading and continued discussion at this point.
I thought City Council was pretty consistent in stating no to bicycles through Pennsylvania Park and through that park area. And that people would walk their bikes in the city of Petoskey, not banning bicycles in the downtown, but simply protecting the walkers. And I felt that it was already pretty much discussed, but Council, I'll let you take it over. Mr. Wilmot.
I've had some feedback from constituents that I'd like to share with you. I'm still consistent in my opinion from the last meeting, but in the meantime, one constituent was adamant that this initiative was coming from the staff of the DMB, not from the DMB themselves. That it's, in that person's opinion, it was out of process as a result, and that the DMB has never been given as an organization an opportunity to weigh in one way or the other on this subject on a formal basis. I don't know that to be the case. I'm just sharing that feedback. I also had another constituent who felt that it's any regulation that prohibits riding the bike through that one area is the cart before the horse, that we really should be developing a non-motorized transportation plan for the entire city, not just Pennsylvania Park, but for the entire city, and that a satisfactory workaround, if that's what we choose, should be designated before we implement any restrictions. And sharing their concern that it could result in indiscriminate fining and penalties for adults and children alike, even on days when there was no crowds to be concerned about. I continue to be of the opinion that number one is public safety, and that a two-block walk of your bicycle is not the end of the world in those circumstances, and that enforceability, we can generally count on the fact that public safety won't be out there every day ticketing and looking for infractions, but to have it on the books as a penalty for chronic offenders and or accidents, I think would be a good thing for the city and for the citizens.
Mr. Knobtraub.
At the last meeting, I was supportive as well to a point. Well, I wasn't really supportive of it, but I was going to go along with it. And my logic was, and I think I said it in the meeting, and it was, well, we'll leave it up to public safety to enforce it when it needs to be enforced and not when it doesn't need to be, and use his discretion. And I thought all week about this, and I said, you know, why in the world would we be passing an ordinance? Why would I want to support an ordinance to completely restrict something that I'm hoping the public safety isn't going to enforce except during the peak visiting times, and which doesn't make a lot of sense to me anymore. Then I put on my hat of a bicyclist. Then I also put my hat on as a business owner, as a retail business owner. And the reading of this is, I know usually young boys, teenage boys get aggressive and they don't think all right. And they might be zipping around crowds and stuff and not really paying attention. But the vast majority of bicyclists that I've seen, the vast majority of them are respectful. If there's a crowd, they're gonna get off and either walk, or they're gonna get on the street, and they're not gonna cause a problem trying to run people down. And then as a retail owner, I wouldn't want I wouldn't want bikes just laying on the ground and parking and obstructing my retail front doors. But I wouldn't have a problem like the pretzel one. You know, my family goes out into the pretzel thing in the summer, the pretzel place, and they ride their bikes. Not anymore because of the safety on that, but they ride their bikes, and you know, my gosh, that's a family event, and just ride your bikes. It's a very healthy thing, and I just don't think real business people would really object to that much, because they would be a friendly, and then you go into all the environmental stuff. So to your point, Charlie, I'm just questioning the validity of the real problem, and how we seem to make, the way I read it, we seem to be saying that it's the darn bikers that are just not respectful, trying to mow people down and they're trying to run over people. And I just don't see that. I just don't quite get that. And I would, the other thing, and I'll stop. I like the Pennsylvania Park, and I've been one of those bikers that like to go into Pennsylvania Park and kind of go to the gazebo. And I like that. You know, that little sidewalk there is really convenient when there's no people. If it's not, I ride my bike off on the side and in the grass, and I just don't have a problem with it. So I would encourage us to rethink this a little bit to make it not just restricted all the way around 365 days a year, but and maybe we can't have more restrictions during the peak visiting shopping hours during the central business district and figure out a way to get through Pennsylvania Park. That's how my current thinking is. I'm having a hard time just going along with what we said last time right now. Sorry, I apologize for the long-winded response.
So I heard from constituents that were both bike riders and walkers. And in listening to that, I felt that there was consensus around bikes not being on sidewalks in the busy business area. That was my read from what I heard. Beyond that, it becomes complex, I think, and requires more dialogue. But my thinking would be, what about if we institute this relative to these busy locations in front of stores and take a look at how that works at the same time that we engage dialogue on these more complex issues, like, you know, sure, bikes can go between Bay Street and Lake Street, but there's those big bushes there and people coming out of the parking lot. There's a number of complex issues that I know bikers can speak to in a better way than I can because I'm a walker. But for now, I'm wondering if there is possibly this point of consensus relative to downtown sidewalks adjacent to businesses that we could give a chance to try this summer. And while the complex issues are being discussed, and then perhaps revisit this all. So I don't know how helpful that was. The only other thing I'd say, and I mean this most respectfully, I think the folks that have come to talk about their biking practices are not the problem, are not the people that are causing the problem, like you just said. My colleague, you know, people don't do that, but the people that are causing issues, they're not coming to speak about it here. I would also say there's issues beyond this, like the use of electric bicycles. As a walker, I know I've shared this before, I've been almost wiped out a couple times by regular and electric bicycles. So I think those are all things that could be a part of the dialogue. Thank you.
Mr. Knobtrop.
Tina, I tend to, I hear what you're saying, and the worry I have of creating an interim ordinance with the idea then it would be perhaps looked at more comprehensively and modified, as once the ordinance is in, it's harder to just kind of get it switched. And so we're taking it and just axing it completely out of the central business district. And to your point, we're talking about some of the people that don't know how to do it, not the people that are the regular bikers. And the majority of the people are the regular bikers. And I feel like you're just taking away a bike-friendly town and we're sending the wrong message for the majority of it. I get the problem with during the peak times of walkers. I get that. And I just don't think we should say, let's wipe it all out and then let's figure it out later and do a comprehensive review. I'd rather kind of take I wish we would have taken a more detailed review to begin with. But so I'm still having a problem of passing this as it is personally. And then we all have a wink to the public safety that they're not going to do it, enforce it, and we're going to tell each other that we're going to take it up in a comprehensive review.
Do we happen to know if the criticism that I heard from the one party today about the DMB not officially taking a position and making an official DMB recommendation, do we know if that is factually accurate?
They have talked about it, but there's been no official recommendation to carry forward to city council.
So with other boards that that exist in our organization, we generally look forward to a recommendation from the board before taking up an action. Is that correct? So one of the possibilities is we may wish to throw this back to the DMB and say, what is the recommendation for the DMB with regard to this proposed ordinance?
I would just take that a step further and also include the Parks and Rec Commission in that review. It is a park, so it's under the purview of the Parks and Rec Commission as well. So I would like to see if we're gonna do that.
More so than DMB.
Yeah. Yeah, first I would send it to Parks and Rec and then on to DMB if that's the purview of city council.
My feelings are the DMB is going to say no, it's downtown from sitting in the discussions as a member of the board. But as long as you're willing to listen to it, I'd say send it back. But if you've already made up your minds, Joe or Tina or anybody, then there's no sense in sending it any place if you've already locked in how you feel about it. I would personally rather, if we're gonna send it back, be open-minded to hear what they have to say for both boards.
John, I'm not sure exactly what you meant by that, but I consider myself a pretty open-minded person and, you know, all I can, you know, I didn't get much. I got a couple calls. I got a call from a biker and I got a call from another individual. I didn't have a lot of calls. So I'm just going on my own experience and love for riding bikes in downtown Petoskey. I love it. I like going to get a cup of coffee in the morning with my wife. I just see the real risk areas are pretty small. So I'm definitely open-minded about it. If the people that are really into this every single day and are do the deep dive, if they have other thoughts, I'm totally open.
I will say I sat in on the DMB meeting last month. And when the downtown manager gave her report, including this, obviously those are all retailers around the table and they were all like, that this is an issue. That they were supportive of trying to get their heads around, but certainly we can get something formalized through them to come back here. I would just say in Adrian, where I grew up, very similar case of traditional downtown. We ended up putting in bike lanes in either direction downtown. Unfortunately, in talking to Jason, we just don't have the width to do that in our core downtown, but that was kind of a way we pushed people off the sidewalk into those bike lanes.
Is it possible to create an ordinance that is restricted during certain hours, during certain months, and as opposed to, you know, somebody, you know, in the fall when no one's here on a Tuesday or riding their bike to work at 9 o'clock in the morning? Are we able to restrict hours and
My
seasons?
safety director stated at one of the meetings that he addressed to us, that really is more confusing than anything when you're saying these days or these months, but not this. It almost needs to be consistent across the board for it to be fair to people understanding what the enforcement is. And I understand you're gonna get, I believe what was gonna happen is we're gonna get downtown management board people who are gonna have one opinion. You've got a couple bicycle people out here are gonna have the totally opposite. So I think this is what, no matter what you do, there's going to be a difference of opinion on bicyclists believing you can ride all over the place, freedom, and those that are concerned, that are businesses that are worried about it. So I think you're gonna see two different stories, and I guess where we go from there. Mr. Wilmot.
I have not heard any concern from my constituents with regard to disallowing bicycles on the sidewalk generally. It's only been restricted to access through Pennsylvania Park. That seems to be the flashpoint in terms of the feedback I've been receiving. And yes, I have an open mind to that and would look forward to Parks and Rec weighing in on it and giving us their recommendation to go forward. More heads are better than 6. So that would be.
So you're requesting that it goes to the two boards and gets feedback from them? Is that what you guys are requesting?
That would be my suggestion, yeah.
Mr. Moore.
So I'm always open to input. I like constructive dialogue. I like different perspectives. I will say in this though, You know, we first talked about this last July, not all of us.
Not all of
Some of us. And here we are again. And I just hope that whatever we do promptly, because I agree with my colleague, Mr. Nachtraub. Public safety is our number one obligation here at the table. And I would really hope that we not go through another busy season without coming to some degree of resolution on this, perhaps on the more consensus aspects than the complex aspects. So that's my thoughts.
My hope is that people that do ride bikes don't take this personal, that we are anti-bikes in the city of Petoskey. But we are looking out for public safety. We have the wheelway that we've supported and funded for the bikeway coming north, south, going to Harbor, to Charlevoix and south. And I think I hope they look at it as this is not an offense to bicyclists, but this is a looking at how to make it work for everybody. So I guess we'll send it to,
No public.
ask that you put it on the city
Public
agenda
comment?
for,
Public comment first.
yeah, we will.
Oh,
Yeah,
before you
we
do-
will. We're
before
still
you do
discussing
public
it
comment.
here. Is it possible for you to put it on the boards? Is my question.
We'll have to amend their agenda has already been released for Monday, but I can have Kendall amend it, add this discussion item.
And then the
Then
DMB,
DMB is,
third,
is that
third Tuesday
The 19th.
the 19th.
next
Mhm.
week.
So I'll get with Amy to add that agenda item.
You good, Mr. Wilmot?
Yeah, in an additional development in reading this, I really take what Tina said is it is very complex. The existing ordinance, section, Article 7, roller skates, rollerblades, coasters, and scooters. I'm not sure that deals with those products as well as it could. Now, that may not be a discussion for today, but it doesn't, for instance, have any kind of limitation or prohibition for roller skates, rollerblades, coasters, and scooters with regard to, it doesn't say anything with regard to bike routes and or bike paths that exist, and whether there are any limitations that are imposed. It just designates the same areas that are prohibited uses in this particular version under bikes. But the other thing that the differentiation between fully electric, pedal assist, whether or not we should have a speed limit attached, how penalties are going to be defined. It's a complex issue that is not fully resolved in this language. At least we should discuss them. Whether or not we want to modify the language, I don't know, but they're subjects for discussion.
More,
Just adding to that is the issue of delineating lanes for walkers versus bikers. Again, just a topic of conversation that's a part of that.
and I think we should address the bicycles that are not pedal assisted. We were driving from Magnus Park. I picked the truck up to going almost 30 miles an hour, and I was passed by a guy on an electric bike going, had to be 40 miles an hour, ran right through the stop sign and kept right on going uptown. And I put my car up to 30 to see how fast he was going, and he passed me on the highway, on the roadway. So I do have concerns about the speed of bikes, and I think that whole discussion has to include enforcement, has to include monitoring such as speed guns. I think there's a whole thing that opens up a can of worms of how we need to look at this whole piece of it. Much like we did the lighting with John, it's a big ball of wax, and it's going to take time to unwind some of it. Mr. Knobtrop?
John, I agree. It's gotten very complex, the technology, when you got the bikes, I like the idea with the pedal activated, it's much better than just pushing the button. I get that because they're terrible. They can go up to 35 mile an hour and you don't even know it. Then you got scooters, the advancement of scooters and popularity of scooters. They just go and you just push the button and they go. And some of them are super duper and some of them aren't super duper. So we got the same issue with that, but you can't pedal a scooter. So it is a complex issue that has become very, very popular to a lot of people.
Mr. Knobcroft?
No.
No?
Oh,
Sorry, Mr. Wilmot.
Well, in addition, you've got, I think they're called air boards, which have the single wheel under them that can do 30 miles an hour also.
Oh, they're
And
great.
you know, I don't want to cloud the issue about bikes downtown. We do need to get that done before, one way or the other, before the season is upon us. But this is a can of worms that needs further dialogue.
Sounds like we have it. Dana, Mr. Moore, you have anything? Public wish to weigh in on this, please come up, push the button so it's green. Address city council, not the audience, first full name, last name. When you have time to speak, I'll set the clock.
How much time do I have?
5 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I think probably you all think I'm here as a cyclist. I'm not. I'm here as a downtown property owner and business owner. And I'm very upset and distressed about the process that has evolved around this biking issue. I'd like to read from you the Downtown Management Board mission statement. A self-governing board dedicated to planning, promoting, and preserving the downtown business district, the hub of our community, for the greater good of business, professional, social, cultural, and service activities located within the defined downtown area. Their mission statement includes a number of things, but the third one is serve as an advisory body to the city of Petoskey in matters pertaining to the downtown business district. And then regarding open meetings, deliberations and decisions of the Downtown Development Authority and the Downtown Management Board shall be conducted and made at meetings open to the public as required by provisions of Act 267 and Public Acts of Michigan. This issue was brought forward to you by Amy Tweeden, who is the Downtown Development Authority and Management Board Administrator. This item was never on the agenda for the Downtown Management Board. So downtown business owners have been deprived of the opportunity to discuss, to weigh in, and to educate themselves and perhaps you all about the issues governing bikes. I can tell you that I have looked at every agenda and I have watched videos, and it is true what Mr. Wilmot heard. There was no agenda item. So I think this is a broken process. And I think that we who pay the taxes downtown and are business people and recognize that this is a complex issue deserve and must have an opportunity to create a process that exemplifies good government, because I think that's what we ultimately should care about. We're part of the process. So that's my first gripe. My second thing is that, and also Shane mentioned that the Parks and Rec was going to talk about this. I looked at their agenda, and when they talked about reviewing the plan downtown, they didn't mention bikes. They mentioned other aspects of the downtown plan, but cycles, biking, cycling was not on that itemized. So if you were a person who wanted to talk to Parks and Rec about this issue, you wouldn't even know that they were going to talk about it. And that meeting you said is coming up. So I hope that that would be clarified so that people know, oh, I have an opportunity to speak. Okay. The other thing is, I feel the council had some very incomplete information that was given to you by Amy Tweeden. She said in her presentation, one of the items was, she knows that Traverse City, Holland, Michigan, and Madison, Wisconsin don't allow cycling in front of businesses. Okay, she's right, they don't. But I have called Traverse City and I have called the city of Holland, and I have a son-in-law who recently spent 3 years there. They don't allow cycling in front of store owners, in front of stores. But what they do have are alternative paths. So there are bike lanes that get you downtown safely. I had quite a talk with the fellow, Jeff, I think is his name, who's the street manager in Traverse City. And I said, well, how does someone get to work if they work downtown and they ride a bike? And he said, well, Front Street has a lane going one way for cyclists, and the block behind has a line going the other way. And so people rotate in and out around the town. And if we see people who are on the sidewalks, and that's usually tourists, we are politely asking them to please either use the bike lane or park their bike. The other thing that's important to me is the value of cycling. This council, with the mayor's aggressive desire, has a desire to have a renewable energy in the city in 2035. Is that correct? Right. You still have that. So one of the values of cycling is that it is low impact, low carbon. It is very environmentally friendly. So I think in some ways, encouraging cycling and letting people ride to work is very consistent with the policies you have environmentally. The other thing is that this council has worked very hard to support moderate and low-income people. If you look at statistics, and I don't know if any of you have looked up the numbers about biking and why people bike, but one of the advantages for people riding to work on their bikes is especially true if you are in that category, that income, and you can't afford a car, you live downtown or close to downtown, and you are now able to live more affordably. That might be able to be part of a discussion that the DMV has. But again, I think that the process needs to be improved, and everyone needs to practice what we say we believe in. So thank you for listening.
I just want to let you know, I gave you 5 minutes and 45 seconds. I believe it's important for you to speak.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to offer, we have an opening for the DMV. Since you are a property owner, if you would like to fill out an application, I'm looking for another board member on the DMV. So,
CBA, so I think that my slot is filled. I just reviewed it.
okay.
I know people who might want to be on.
But if you have somebody at your business, a co-owner or anything like that, that would like to be on the board, I have a spot available. I'm just passing that on. I'm looking for one. If you know of anybody, including council, please. Ms. Meyerson, did you wish to speak?
Thank you, Emily Meyerson. I'm here. Thank you all for your thoughts about this. I think I heard really good discussions, and that felt really good. At the last meeting, I heard a couple of council people talk about like bikers like going super fast through Pennsylvania Park and how terrible that would be. And I agree, that would be terrible. It's not a bike trail. It's not like you're gonna have people in a line of bikes going through. It's just a transportation corridor. It's a connector. It's a way to get people through. And when I came and talked to all of you last July, we were talking about the need for a non-motorized plan, and I'm back to talk about it. Everything you were talking about, it's complex. It's not simple. How you get people around, you have bikers, you have walkers. Now you have electric bikes, you have electric scooters, you have the hoverboards. I mean, there's all these different things. The city is great. We have 300, I think, new apartments on one side of town, right on the Greenway. How do they get across town? You have more people. Those apartments were approved with less parking, not 2 parking spaces per apartment, which is what they require, I think, in the county, but only 1, because they wanted people to bike and walk and not need a car, not have more congestion downtown. So the need for a non-motorized plan, I think, is really important. And I think making a law and hurting people who are doing those things before you finish that plan, I think, is a mistake. The city built this incredible greenway and then ended it with 2 blocks in the middle. And that wasn't it's like, so you bring the bikers in and it's like, psych, you can't get through. And so I just think for now, it's not ideal. It's not perfect. I think most of the time, I was talking 95% of the time, you can get right through there without any problems. And the 5% of the time you can't, so you get off, you go around it. I think to create a law for that little bit of time is a mistake. To create a law that can be randomly enforced, I think, is a mistake. And I just ask you not to do that. the pieces, staff brought it back this year because there's safety issues in front of the businesses, which I have experienced that. People opening a business door and they're talking and they're tourists and they run right into pedestrians. So if a biker was there, it would be even worse. I mean, I've been run into as a pedestrian. So I could see that that would be an issue. But that piece of Pennsylvania Park and the ordinance that was brought forth to begin with, to me, was a really good compromise and then you can solve the problem and then maybe expand the law if it's still a problem. Once you have that transportation, that connection, because we need our community connected and it's really important. So I just ask you, it sounds like you're thinking holistically about this. I ask you to do that. I really would love to see a non-motorized plan done. It was done, I think, last in 2015, and things have changed a lot. We didn't have electric bikes. We didn't have hoverboards. We didn't have a lot of the things we have now. We didn't have the Greenway, I don't think. So there's a lot to go on. I think it really could help everyone in the community to get around better and help all of you make decisions. And it's not just about the Greenway. I think it would help with some of the wheelway problems and help in some of those instances as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to council at this point? Okay. Moving on, then we go to,
Just so I'm clear with direction. So we're tabling this.
It seems to me that it's tabled in favor of responses from the two boards. Does that sound consistent?
I support that.
Although,
That's what I thought.
although I will say that the comments about the non-motorized transportation plan is an excellent one, but that's a big project and something that probably will emanate from the planning commission, I would think, at some point in time, while they have, their current agenda is pretty full, but that's a project that ought to be on the drawing board. I agree.
Mr. Moore.
I think for me, the only postscript to this is that I would like to have that feedback from those two bodies at the earliest opportunity, giving folks as well an opportunity to offer their input so we can address this, at least perhaps the portion that is not as complex. So that would be my only ask.
All set, Shane, on that.
Yes.
Moving on to discussion on city council meeting preparation, procedures and policy.
There was a request to move this on the agenda. Do you still want to do that?
Yes, I'd offered a suggestion that we move this to the end and deal with the other items on the agenda first and see what time allows for us to try to finish that up.
Do you have a motion for that? Do I have a second for that?
Support.
I have a motion and a second to move old business D to behind new business, which would be number 10.
New business, yeah, C.
C.
Nine.
Well, it wouldn't be new business, it'd be
Right.
old business,
And-
no, it would be old business 10A. I go to
Can I
10,
just,
10A just moves down to 11A, 11 and 11 discussion goes to 12 for agenda. What?
can I just say two other things? One, I'm wondering, do we want to move forward with this with Ms. Walker absent, number one? And number two, since we have so sporadically been able to get at this, if there's any consideration to be given to set a special meeting just to sit down and try to blow through this. I think it's hard over time to get your head back in this space, or my head. I'll speak to my own head. So I don't know if others have thoughts about that.
I'm wondering if we do it at 5 o'clock prior to a city council meeting that is gonna be a shorter meeting, have it at 5 o'clock. It's really boilerplate stuff. It is not, I question how much public is gonna weigh in on it, but it is available to them at 5 o'clock if they wanted to. And it would move us forward and get this going because this seems to be kicked down the road.
you know,
You're now top.
this half in, half out, I get prepared and then we take it off and it's really, for me anyway, it's really hard to get focused on it because it's important, but it is a lot of boilerplate. It's a lot of nonsense stuff in there too, but it's kind of important we get through it. And I'd rather do it all at one time and be done with it, whether it's a 5 o'clock thing or a special thing. But it seems to me unwieldy to get my head into it, then out of it. And I said, I wasn't in the mood to really get into it this time and try to, but it's a waste of time the way we're doing it now.
Respectfully, I would recommend we have this as a standalone special meeting, potentially an off Monday. I think we could, well, we're coming up against summer, so I know everybody gets busy in the summer, but I like the concept of really focusing. This is our only topic. We'll dive into it with both feet and.
Are you saying wait for the fall or do it?
No, I'm not. I'm saying like.
Open up your
pick up-
calendar books, everybody, and we will look at what's available for a off date Monday.
Or do a couple.
Should we do this though at our next meeting? when Lindsay-
Yeah, Lindsay, I don't know what Lindsay's schedule is.
Or you can pick it.
Okay, then we'll
up.
kick it down the road, 2 meetings and the next meeting make the.
Can't we
decision.
propose a date and then ask Lindsay to weigh in on it?
And if
Maybe a
she
couple
says-
dates.
Or give her a couple of dates?
Then you guys talk about it at the next
I mean, the
meeting.
25th is,
25th of what?
May?
May, it's an off
That's
Monday.
That's Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Oh, that is.
I'm gone that.
Like you can be here
You're not allowed to meet that day.
Sorry about that.
that entire
early.
week.
City holiday.
We don't give that holiday.
So you're
So
thinking,
you're gonna be here
June
that day
8th?
working, your whole staff?
I'm not gonna be here.
Yeah, it could be,
Yeah, I look at it,
June 8th, June 22nd, 29th
22nd or 29th.
I'm
all
gone
those
that
dates
entire
for me.
week,
of,
May, that you're referencing.
The entire week or the entire month?
Memorial Day.
No, May 24 through May,
yeah, that's fine. I didn't realize, I forgot that was a holiday week. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
where
fine.
are we now?
We're in June on the 8th, the 22nd or the 29th.
For me, all those dates were.
Thursday.
I think I can, those dates.
Charlie?
Which one's June?
8, 22, 29.
Fine.
8.
Tell you what I'll have us do. Why don't we have Shane get with
Lindsay.
Lindsay and pick one of those 3 dates and run with it? Is that good?
And I'm gonna double check my calendar too, and I'll let Shane know if I have any conflicts, but it doesn't look like it.
Just a reminder, that week of June 15th is fairly busy with city
Convention.
convention.
He avoided that. He avoided that.
I know, but I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
a couple meetings that week.
3 minions. And a ribbon cutting for the passenger pigeons. So
June
we're
8th.
busy.
It would be a Parks and Rec meeting, June 8th. I don't know. if
Yeah,
you
that's
can-
okay.
Conflict. Okay.
Yeah.
When's our, wait a minute, when's our meeting that month?
The first and,
Just
only the first.
Just the first, okay, got it.
Person, and then we have.
Yeah.
That might be a good month to have one on either 22nd or 29.
Right now, we don't
Yeah.
have one on the
We
15th.
should probably do it that month
More
because
convention.
I'm not available hardly any of the Mondays henceforth in July or August.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be a Monday either, but that's up to you.
Let's look at 22 and 29. I think that's a good
Okay.
idea.
We could push it to fall too.
29, you make it also my birthday. party.
No,
I'm for pushing it for the fall, but I will make any Monday you guys pick work.
Be nice to get this done.
22nd, 29th.
so we need to withdraw the motion then,
Just sooner the better, get it firmed up.
Yes.
or amend the motion.
Charlie, would you
I mean,
rescind your motion?
consider it rescinded. I don't even remember making it at this point, so.
Yeah.
Good, and we have-
It's easy.
Yes, it's-
Later in the agenda.
You support
Oh,
the.
yes, right.
We have a plan B. I have rescinded.
22nd, 29th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So until it happens, until she gets it, we're good with that. Okay. Next is new business, first reading of proposed ordinance amending appendix A zoning map concerning zoning 224 Michigan Street and the OS office services to B2B mixed use corridor. Yes.
Can I please make a statement on the record before we go forward with this? I will abstain from voting on and participating in discussion on this rezoning request and the following agenda item regarding the expansion of the parking exempt district due to a potential conflict of interest, as my husband and I own adjacent properties on the 200 block of Michigan Street. And as the next agenda item indicates, my husband, Charlie Redstadt, offered input to the Planning Commission regarding his perspective on the proposed parking expansion. Thank you.
Okay. So you'll be participating in discussion or not?
No.
Nothing at all?
Correct.
Just checking.
Mhm.
Mr. Knobtop?
So given that and the fact that Lindsay's here, not here yet. Oh, she's not here. Does that impact? It's only three of us.
Just first reading.
Just the first reading. Okay, great.
John, city planner, would you please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The two requests are about this regarding the same piece of property. The requests have come from the owner of the new owner of the church at 224 Michigan Street. I have the addresses wrong. And that's Great Lakes Housing Preservation LLC. They submitted a rezoning request to change the zoning, requesting a change of zoning from OS office service to B2B mixed use corridor. Get the next slide, Sarah, for me. The property is the former Seventh-day Adventist Church. And then after that, it was the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. Most recently, it was the Garrett Beck Law Offices and the Professional Collection Services. The property is pretty much built out. It's almost a zero. The footprint of the church pretty much consumes about 95% of the lot. There is a one-car parking space in the back of the church that has a small curb cut on the street. The Planning Commission took a look at, if you flip the next slide for me, Sarah. Planning Commission, this shows you the location of the property. It's next to across the street is the dry cleaner, the bank. Diagonally across the street is the Darling parking lot. Behind the property is a small house. Then there's a parking lot that's associated with the Turcotte office complex. As Councilman Demore had mentioned, along Michigan Street in that neighborhood are a lot of single-family homes, historic in nature, that have been part of the city for quite a while. Can you hit the next slide? The applicant is looking to do an adaptive reuse of the church to include residential units, studio or creative workspaces, public assembly, and small-scale commercial uses, which would be allowed in the B2B mixed-use corridor district if rezoned. One of the aspects that the Planning Commission took a look at was the consistency with the 2021 Livable Petoskey Master Plan, and portions of the master plan do support the proposed rezoning. There are a couple other provisions within the master plan that talk about things like, associated impacts with businesses adjacent to residential, the need to make sure that those are handled appropriately and accounted for. Go ahead, Sarah. One of the things that the Planning Commission looks at as part of a rezoning is not the applicant's specific project, but when they're rezoning a piece of property, the Planning Commission needs to take a look at, if they rezone the property, what are the proposed permitted and special uses that would be allowed in the new district, and would any of them have a potential to impact the neighborhood? This chart shows you the comparison between OS office service and the B2B mixed corridor. You can see that many of the uses in the top part of the table, residential, office building, medical office, banks, credit unions, personal service, are the same in both districts. The OS district allows churches or other similar uses, which would be an interpretation by the either by the zoning administrator or by the zoning board of appeals. The B2B district allows, the same uses, single family, two-family, multi-office, medical, banks, personal, but it also allows things like bakery, brewery, health and fitness, public assembly, bed and breakfast, and hotel. And that was the reason for the request, was to use the church as public assembly for events and other small commercial venues. Hit the next slide. A couple of the planning commissioners, we had at the meeting 8 out of 9. 2 of the planning commissioners were concerned about changing the zoning from OS to B2B regarding the potential impact if there were a brew pub or food service in the church or a hotel because of the proximity to the adjacent residential neighborhood. So that was discussed by the planning commission as part of their deliberations. Next slide, Sarah. Overall, after that discussion, the planning commission voted to recommend to council the rezoning, and 6 of the members were in favor, 2 of the members were against the rezoning. So that's a summary of the rezoning issue with this piece of property. The next ordinance for consideration, and they're both linked, is the parking exempt district request. The property is diagonally across the street from the Darling lot. The church has no really physical ability to accommodate off-street parking. It never has. It's been used as, a church obviously is an assembly use. So over the years, there's been 2 churches there. There's been a law office, a collection agency, and people that have used the building have used either on-street parking or they have used parking in the Darling lot, which is a public lot diagonally across the street. Go ahead, Sarah. The property has, like I mentioned, a small area behind the church, maybe definitely for 1, possibly for 2 vehicles if you really push them close together. The previous owners didn't have any off-street parking and relied, like I mentioned, on-street and off-street. The prior owner did, the Beck law firm at one time, did buy a piece of property across the street on Michigan, tore the house down with the intent of building a parking lot, but never did. So that lot has now been sold to an individual in town that's looking at building a house on that piece of property. And as I had mentioned, the subject property is diagonally across the street from the Darling lot. So those are the 2 requests. One is to rezone, to allow for an adaptive reuse, to allow primarily for public assembly. Because it's not a church, it would be used for public assembly like small events, concerts, that kind of thing. I think recently the zoning administrator told me, because we've been watching the project, that there was a dance class there either this week or last week. So it is being used to some degree, but we have to make sure, obviously, from a zoning point of view, that the uses that are in the building are consistent with the zoning. The Planning Commission felt that the B2B mixed-use corridor provided a little bit more flexibility and latitude relative to the mixed use. Regarding the comment from Councilperson DeMoore's husband regarding the parking, which was, he sent an email, and this was presented to the Planning Commission regarding the exempt. Initially, as part of the analysis, we were not only going to include the church as part of the parking district, but the dry cleaner and the bank, because the dry cleaner is on a large piece of property, but it only has 3 parking spaces. And the bank, we looked at the bank, and banks recently are coming and going, and those are 2 really nice redevelopment sites, and they're both across the street. However, the email was concerned about the incorporation of multiple pieces of property into the parking exempt district with a recommendation that at some point in time, the city may need to take a broader look at overall parking, off-street parking, and what the definite needs are in that particular area as a recommendation. That was presented to the Planning Commission as well. The Planning Commission decided just to focus their attention on this subject property So the dry cleaner and the bank are not part of the parking exempt district, just the church. And after deliberation and discussion, all 8 of the planning commissioners were in favor of including this property into the parking exempt district, primarily because there's really no other options for parking. So that's the summary of the 2 ordinances, which are separate, but they're definitely linked because they involve the same piece of property. So if you have any questions, be happy to answer.
Thanks, John. I had have a couple of questions. The 2 that dissented, if I heard you say that right, it was more that it was in the neighborhood proximity to a brew pub. Is that kind of what it was?
Yeah, they were
That
concerned.
was the narrow, that was this.
Yes, they were concerned that a couple of the uses like the brew pub and the hotel could be impactful to the adjacent neighborhood.
Do we know if we have any brew pubs, hotels that are also relatively adjacent to residential units? And do we have any problems with them that you're aware of?
Well, the only one that comes to mind, and it's somewhat has proximity to the residential neighborhood across the street and behind it, is the Elder Piper
Oh, yeah.
brew pub. And I don't know, I'd have to ask Shane. We haven't received any complaints in the planning and zoning office. I don't know if the city manager has.
Nothing at this time.
No, that's it, actually. Thanks.
Mr. Wilmot.
How does this not constitute spot zoning?
The master plan has recommendations along that entire corridor for the evolution of that corridor to start to go from a mixed use character for a combination of offices, commercial and residential developments. So that's what's in the master plan, future land use map. So this is kind of like, if the council approves this, it's kind of advancing that along that, in that fashion. The council's not privy yet to discussions that the planning commission has had regarding the proposed ordinance or the proposed zoning map, but the planning commission has been working on those. And one of the things that the planning commission is looking at is that there's a differentiation between corridor commercial, which would be Mitchell Street, for example, US 31, Mitchell Street through the community, over by Kilwins 31 North, and the 131 corridor, and what they call business neighborhood, which would be pretty much like what you're seeing, where you have the party stores down on Emmett Street, the Northern Express Copy Center, which is right across the street from residential. You have the lofts at Lumber Square. You have Elder Piper. So you're already starting to see within those neighborhoods a mixture of small commercial, residential, and commercial uses. So Planning Commission was pretty comfortable with advancing the idea that this would be compatible with the current master plan as present, or as you know, the 2021 Livable Petoskey Plan, the future land use map.
We'll follow up on that. So with the potential changes that may be recommended by the Planning Commission with regard to the overall zoning review and updating, this could all change in several months, depending on the recommendations they make to council and council's decision on the new zoning code.
Yep,
It could be expanded.
It could be, depending on the length of
So
the
this-
council review, it
This
could be
a
another.
temporary situation.
be, yes,
It just
yeah.
allows them in the meantime to expand their activities.
Correct. That's the position of the applicant. That's why they had asked for the change in their rezoning, because they currently are trying to lease up the property and utilize it without being in conflict with the current zoning code.
But similarly, if, depending on the resolution of the zoning review and recommendations and city council's deliberations, it could be removed at that time as well.
That's good. Yeah, yes, you're correct.
It could turn into a bar too, couldn't it?
Well, in the ordinance, the way that the B2B is set up, it allows for a brew pub, not a bar, but a brew pub, like a Elder Piper.
We define, what's the difference between a bar and a brew pub? I don't know the difference.
Well, usually a brew pub just does one thing. They sell seltzers and beer. They don't sell hard alcohol. That's usually the difference.
That is the difference?
That's usually the licensing difference. A brew pub is primarily beer and seltzers and ciders.
This one says brew pub. I'm sorry, what?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you said something. Council, anything else? Questions? I kind of felt like it was kind of spot zoning, but I understand. But I hope we have the flexibility if we're doing it here. I hope we have the flexibility on like daycares up by the college.
Well,
Spot zoning.
Your Honor, that's, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that because churches are, you know, unfortunately, there's a few, you know, churches in many communities are being vacated. Okay? We had one over on the corner of Madison and Ingalls.
Daycare.
Okay, which was a church. Because of its zoning, which I believe was RM2, they allowed as daycare as a special land use. And that's being converted, that church is being converted into a childcare center. So it's, you know, to some degree, it's trying to figure out what, if there's flexibility in terms of trying to maintain the character of these neighborhoods by allowing adaptive reuse of some of these facilities. But I wanted to be perfectly upfront with you. I mean, there was the plan, we had 8 at the planning commission. 2 of the members were concerned about 2 of the uses, hotel and a brew pub. The other ones weren't a big issue because they're pretty consistent with what's allowed under the OS district. But that's part of the planning process.
Hotel has the requirement for parking, is that correct? So is this exempt them from that by, because they have the across the street parking?
It would. That's because the building has no parking. Has had no parking. It's got a parking behind it, but it's not even really a lot. It's, they pull off the driveway and it's kind of like a gravel area behind the church. But the church is like, takes up most of the lot, and that's what the planning commission's, observation was what options do we have for parking? There's no option for parking.
Right.
So.
Other questions? Mr. Knobtrop?
Just my own observation and feelings about this is, you know, we have an owner that's bought it and trying to do something with it. It seems like we want to somewhat encourage it. The planning commission did a deep dive in this and evaluated it, which gives me a comfortable that they came out with it, with 6-2. And I think we need to encourage it. And I generally am in favor of doing this as you got it done.
Someone else wishes to speak?
The owner is.
The owner's on the line, but shall I have a motion or do you want to hear from the owners?
No.
I don't, just first reading.
No
First
motion.
reading. So, does the public wish to weigh in at this point to city council?
Thank
Okay,
you.
right there.
Oh.
Hold it. Maybe questions? Lindsay?
I mean, do you want me to open it? I don't.
Oh,
see a
yeah,
hand or
please.
anything, so.
I texted her. Doesn't have her hand raised.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you, Lindsay, yes.
Hi, thank you. Your staff has very graciously outlined everything. I apologize for not being there in person. I'm at the Edsel and Eleanor Ford House right now at a conference. So, but yes, I appreciate you taking the time to consider both of the ordinance changes to give us a chance to breathe new life into a significant historic property for the city of Petoskey. Allowing the added flexibility will essentially allow us to be successful in this project. And I will say that knowing from our realtor that we worked with when purchasing the property, there had been some folks that were considering a brew pub type use in the past that wanted to potentially purchase it but didn't because of the site restrictions that we are talking about tonight. Not to say that that's not ever going to happen in the future, but some people had considered that use in the past and chose not to move forward with purchasing the property. And so essentially the goal for us as owners is to bring it back into the community as a space that can offer community events and hope to be good neighbors to everybody around us, including those who spoke against it during the planning commission meeting. We're dedicated to being good neighbors, and the demand for parking. I live on Michigan Street, so I see it day in and day out. The parking issue year round, even in the summer months, is usually during office hours during the day, and most of our programming will be in the evening. So there shouldn't be a huge concern with a lack of parking. Darling Lot has 180 spots, I think. I could be wrong, but around there. And rarely is that lot full, even peak summer months. So I appreciate you considering the topic, and we'll be happy to answer questions.
Public wish to weigh in? Thank you, Lindsay. Let's see if there's anybody else wish to speak. There being none. We'll go for second reading in 2 weeks. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Your Honor.
City council comments. I'll start with. What?
That's for both of them, right?
For both of those, yes.
No
yes,
additional.
yes. City council comments, Ward 2, Ward 4, Mr. Knoptrop.
About Ward
3, we'll go 3.
I actually do. And I actually have a little prepared statement. So again, I apologize for my prepared statements this time. Last week, I read the article in Petoskey News about, it kind of hit me hard. Apparently Realtor.com listed Petoskey as a luxury real estate market. And in reading the article deeper, I read that the Realtor.com defines this basically as all or most of the homes listed for sale exceed $1 million. This caused me to kind of think in two parallel paths as a council member of Petoskey, and I'm kind of asking this for all of us to think about it. Number one, we're blessed with a great tax base that should allow this council to think long-term with how best to utilize our resources. Not to tax more, but to plan long-term for what we need to do to sustain the next 50 years, a community that continues to thrive, and us not be afraid to make long-term commitments to achieve this. Thinking strategically. Past councils, in my opinion, have done a pretty good job of being fiscally responsible and have built a decent balance sheet. We need to be bold in our long-term objectives. This doesn't mean to go out and buy a bunch of new parks or how to figure out how to give money away or discounts. It involves an investment in our infrastructure. However we define infrastructure, such as a high-speed internet, more bike-friendly routes, partner with the private sector to encourage investment in rebuilding our downtown for the next 50 years. We have so many parcels down here that are garbage that we need to think long-term about that. And to balance the importance of tourism to our community with the needs of our year-round and part-time residents and taxpayers. I'm not saying go out and increase tourism is the right thing. And I'm not saying that we just do everything to kick the tourists out, but we need to think long-term. And we have the financial wherewithal and the stability, I believe, that we can consider that. Two of my favorite quotes that come to mind, I've said it before: managers do things right, leaders do the right thing. And the other one is, don't confuse efforts with results. We need to do the right thing for the residents and taxpayers of Petoskey and to get the right results for the long term. That's one line of thinking, is to think long-term with our what I believe is we have a solid financial footing in this to think long-term and make long-term commitments. Number two, we have this luxury designation in part due to a limited middle income real estate. I believe we need to encourage middle-income residents to invest in housing that they can afford. Very different from low-income or affordable housing. I think we've done a reasonable job of that. I see two small ways that this city could do this and be fiscally responsible. Number one, we have a number of city-owned residential lot parcels that we've taken back for a variety of reasons. We should ask Shane to look at these lots and create a plan to provide waivers if needed to allow people to own these lots and build middle-income homes. And I'm focusing middle income right now, to live and not to be landlords to rent, but to live as residents in the Petoskey in the middle income area. We can give these lots for free, or better yet, give them a forgivable loan that once they build the homes and they occupy it and live in it, not rent it, it's forgivable. This has a numerous double whammy impact. It increases our housing stock for middle income families and puts these parcels back into our tax base. We have thousands of people coming through the city of Petoskey that don't pay anything. They're just passing through. And I think middle income people living here is a big, would help us a lot. Then the second thing is to ask Shane, I brought this up before, I'm going to ask again, but to ask Shane to look at a low interest loan program or maybe partially forgivable loans for people to upgrade their homes to be more attractive to middle income families to live in our beautiful city as homeowners, not as lifelong renters. We have the funds to do this, in my mind, on a small basis and make an impact. And not only the fancy houses up Mitchell Street or nearby houses. We need to build middle income homes for people to live here, and I think we could participate and take a leadership role in that. I'm hopeful that the council would support these ideas or some variation of that, and we actually take action to think strategically and not spend a lot of time creating regulations that restrict otherwise peaceful behavior. And I'm not meaning that as anything, just thinking strategically. Thank you.
Ward 2, Mr. Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since the last meeting, I reached out to both the lofts at Lumber Square and the block because I was curious to see what their lease activity was like, what the response of the citizenry is to these two developments. And lofts at Lumber Square responded to me with head spinning efficiency. And as of the 25th of April, they had, of the 60 units, for your information, they had 47 units leased, with 7 additional households approved their applications and scheduled to move in by the end of this month. That brings it to a total of 54 units, or approximately 90% occupied or pending, and 12 applications for the remaining 6 units. But even further, I asked them to, if they could, to give me some description as to who was actually leasing these units. And they gave me a spreadsheet that gives a lot of information. And the bottom line of the spreadsheet, which I'm happy to distribute if you wish, is that only one person was relocating from outside the immediate northern Michigan marketplace, and that person was from Kalamazoo, getting divorced and starting over again in Petoskey. So I was very pleased to hear that that the leasing activity at the lofts is really addressing the market we hoped it would be addressing, and not an out-of-state or downstate market that of wannabes for a piece of Petoskey. Interestingly enough, just this afternoon before the meeting, I got a message from the block saying of the 204 units there, they now have a total number completed of 120. And to date, 90 of those are occupied and 60 units pre-leased. So they actually have more leased units than they have currently available. But they're moving quickly, so that's not really a big issue. And of the current residents, 69% are from the local and surrounding counties, with 31% relocating to Petoskey for work or other reasons. I hope to delve into that a little bit more to understand other reasons, just out of curiosity, to make sure that this is still targeted at people who who really want and need to live here in Petoskey and have been unable to find it. And of the pending residents, 60% are from the local and surrounding community, and 40% are relocating to Petoskey for work or other reasons. So on the surface of it, it appears that the response to these two new developments is right along the lines that we had been very hopeful to target, which is the local populace as opposed to summer residents and other vacationers. So, and certainly no activity with regard to Airbnb or that kind of thing. So I was very pleased about that. In addition, I just had a couple of quick questions for the city manager. Have you heard from Parks and Rec when we might be given a list of projects that that they'd like to see at Winter Sports Park that we might be able to engage in 2026 still with some budget amendments? There was another thing I think the council discussed in terms of potential budget amendments. I can't remember what that project was. It wasn't Winter Sports Park, but then the question was, how did you want to deal with potential amendments to the 2026 budget and when?
Yeah, we'll have that ready for the next meeting, May 18th. And I would probably recommend we make any sort of amendments at that time versus waiting till the end of the budget cycle. So if you want to make any amendments to any single project for that facility, I would recommend we go ahead and make the amendments at that time. That makes sense.
Terrific.
Yeah.
So noted. And then finally, I know that there's been some discussion about bringing back the rental inspection ordinance, proposed ordinance for discussion and potential future implementation. And I was wondering if you had any updates on that.
Yeah, just we've had some heavy agendas with ordinances, really trying to do some load management for you all. It's certainly, I need to send that on to our current city attorney. Previous city attorney did review it, but our current city attorney has not gone through that process, so I need to do that with her. But yes, that will be forthcoming very soon.
Thank you.
Ward 1, Ms. Demore.
So now just a point of clarification, follow-up. It was my understanding that the recommendations regarding the Winter Sports Park were going to be a part of the master planning process. Did I misunderstand what was just said?
Well, there were, as I recall, there were two discussions. Most of the major elements were going to be moved forward or already incorporated in the CIP in one form or another. However, there were some items that could be implemented, like maintenance and repair items or the patio, that could be moved up into 2026 and be more responsive to community requests for further development of the park. But the big questions that they wanted to move to the 2027 master plan were the questions about snow making, the tow rope, and covering the ice rink.
I don't recall the delineation of the two, but I'll look forward to our discussions at the next meeting. Relative to the information you obtained regarding the lofts and Maple Block, if you could share that with Shane, I would be very interested to be able to see it. Shane could distribute it. I have an adjunct question, however. What's missing from that information is within the allowable spreads of 80 to 120% AMI, what are the spreads in terms of the occupied units? I'd be very interested to know that. And I'd note on the record, I have before, that I think part of the reason the lofts has had success is they did some real targeting in their application process. For example, applicants who currently live in Emmett County or work at a business located in Emmett County receive 1 priority point, placing them higher on the wait list. Generally, applicants can't currently own a home unless a sale is pending with a signed purchase agreement. And yes, the apartment must be your full-time primary residence for a minimum of 10 months per year. So kudos to them for those enhanced requirements, which I think drove the kind of outcomes that you were presenting.
Which I don't believe those same parameters are part of the blocks approach to applications, but I can ask.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Assuming I'm not stepping on any toes.
Not.
They are not, yeah. Assuming I'm not, I'll be happy to ask those questions, assuming I'm not stepping on any toes, Shane, in.
No, step away, that's
Okay,
fine.
okay, fine.
And
Step on, yeah.
I just wanted to acknowledge, we had 2 Youth Advisory Council members here tonight who left because they're allowed to at a certain time to get homework done. That was both Senior Sam Ingalls and Senior Arv Gandhi. The application process for 2026, 2027 membership on the council is currently underway. And you can all expect they'll be making a presentation to you at the outset of the next meeting. There are 16 of them. I told them they have a minute each, so I've done my best. Thank you.
Okay, I attended a meeting at the Tribe on Monday for several hours, meeting the new chair and the vice chair. Also sat in on a Bridge magazine, came to Petoskey through the chamber. And it was an hour and a half meeting or so at the Carnegie Building yesterday for that. There was a question, you mentioned properties. Might as well fill you in now. We already put up a bunch of properties back 3 or 4 years ago. 2 of them, one on Washington Street that now has a house on it that was moved from another location. So we really didn't gain any housing on it. The place it came from up on Lake or Summit, wherever it came from, they put a garage up. So we did not gain that at all. The other one is on Clarion Avenue. He built a house on Clarion Avenue. These are both city lots that we sold. We'd offered 4 lots, 3 lots. The other 2 lots are really not buildable. They're on Clarion Avenue and they're on the west side, and they are spring fed coming down through them. So they really aren't buildable at all as we understood. But we really don't have any city-owned property that I know of that we can sell.
I got a list from you. There was more than.
Yeah, there'll be some where we have utilities, on like utility easements that go through parcels, but certainly I think we could come up with more properties.
More
that,
properties, okay.
But
There's
there's,
slice and dice on it.
yeah, there's not a huge list, but,
Well, we had covered them, but we sold the last 2 for $5,000 a piece, I believe, is what it was.
we do have a property on, that's Ingalls as well, that we cleaned up,
tore
it's
down the
very
whole
small,
page.
yeah, very small lot. We were working at one point with Habitat. They had expressed some interest in it. It's just not a big site, pretty small house. But I can take a look at that list again and bring that forward.
Sure.
I don't even think we need to sell it. I mean, if we encourage it, if we get the list and we encourage it and give it to them, if they provide, what I've done, what I've seen done is you have a mortgage on it that's forgivable once it's built, and they do what they say they're going to do. You just don't give it. But
yeah,
I think we have more to gain than probably the value of the lots.
So I would only say, again, I'm not the attorney for the city, not my lane, but I'm not sure about if we can just give property.
yeah, we would have to go through a
benefit.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
A
a closed
single.
bid process is what it started as, a closed bid process. Nobody came through. One gentleman expressed an interest and we came up with the price of, were you here then? $5,000.
Clarion, I was here, yeah. But you don't necessarily have to go with the high bid. Maybe their use, someone's use is better than the other person's use, or maybe their timeline is quicker. So just like we don't always have to go with the low bid, you don't have to go with the high bid in that case either. But there is a process that we need to go through.
No further business coming before this council.